When work slows down, that's when it gets real because the bills don't slow down with it. People still depend on you. Life still keeps moving. And now this thing you said you wanted has to carry some weight. I remember working a full-time job and tattooing at the same time. And even then, my books weren't full. I might have had a few days booked, sometimes not even a full week. And when I finally went all in on tattooing, it still wasn't like I had some huge cushion. I had maybe a week booked, 2 weeks if I was lucky. And man, when you're living it, that ain't comfort, that's some pressure. Because chasing a dream sound good when people talk about it, but it feels different when you're also trying to keep the lights on, when there's food to buy, stuff for the house, gas, bills, regular life. That dream don't feel so great no more. It becomes responsibility. And at that time, my wife was just a waitress, so we were barely, getting by. I could handle my bills, but if it wasn't for her working too, we wouldn't have had no extra money for food, house stuff, and all the little things that just keep life moving. And that's the part people don't see. They see the shop now. They see the tattoos. They see the progress. They see the finished product. But they don't see the years where it wasn't stable. They don't see you checking the schedule, trying to figure out how you're just going to make the week work. And they don't see the drawing when there's not even a client booked. They don't see that quiet pressure that sits in the back of your mind when you're just trying to stay focused. And honestly, those first few years felt like pushing a boulder uphill. You make a little progress and you feel like you're getting somewhere, but if you just let up for that 1 minute, man, that thing just rolls right back on top of you. So I couldn't be casual with it. I just couldn't hope that this was going to work. I had to stay locked in. And that's when the real work happened. Not just in the shop, not just when, I had somebody in my chair. A lot of it happened at night when my wife and my daughter would go to bed. And that was my time. From about 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., that was like church for me. I put on my headphones, I'd lock in, and I'd get to work. I'd watch videos, I'd study other artists, I'd reconstruct tattoos, try to understand why something worked and try to figure out why some things didn't. And I wasn't trying to tattoo no more. I was trying to get better in my arts, better in my drawing, better how I saw things and make better decisions. Because knowing the medium only takes you so far. You can know your machines, you can know your needles, you can know how the skin works, and all of that matters, don't get me wrong. But without the artistic ability, you're never going to really be where you want to be. The medium is just a tool, and the art is what makes the tool really mean something. And that's what allows the tattoo to shine is your artistic ability, man, your eye, your understanding of contrast, shape, flow, value, composition. And that stuff separates a person who can tattoo from somebody who can really create something that actually holds some weight. So when I wasn't booked, I didn't look at it like it was wasted time. I looked at it as it was time to work. If I wasn't tattooing, I was drawing. If I wasn't drawing, I was studying. And if I wasn't studying, I was trying to figure out how do I get better? Because I knew if the opportunity ever presented itself, I had to be ready. I never really looked at slow times like, man, I'm done. I didn't see it like that. I saw an obstacle. And if there was an obstacle, that meant I had to hustle. And that was it. I didn't sit around waiting for opportunity to show up. I created my own opportunity. And I think that's where a lot of people get it twisted, man. They want the good part. They want the full books. They want the steady money. They want the recognition. And they don't want the season where nobody's clapping. They don't want that year where it feels like you're just eating dirt just to stay in the game. But the truth is, if you're not willing to eat shit for a year, you're never going to eat caviar for the rest of your life. And I know that sounds rough, but that's the truth. There's a season, man, where you have to pay your dues. A season where you have to be uncomfortable. A season where you have to do the work when nobody's fucking watching. And that's the part that builds you. Because when your craft is tied to your survival, your time starts feeling different. You stop wasting it the same. You start treating your work like it's optional. You start realizing that if this is going to work, you need to treat it like it matters before anybody else does. And that's what the slow weeks taught me. But busy weeks feel great. They make you feel like everything's moving. But slow weeks teach you discipline. They teach you to keep going when that excitement isn't there. They teach you how to believe in something before it looks solid. They teach you how to work when nobody is watching. And for me, my faith played a big part in that. I had faith that God was going to provide for me. And that there was too many times, man, where my bills were due, things were tight, and everything came in clutch. But I also learned that faith doesn't mean sit still. Faith doesn't mean do nothing, and faith doesn't mean wait around and hope life changes while you stay the same. You still got to move. You still got to do your part. You still got to work. You still got to improve. You still got to stay ready. And that's how I looked at it, man. You got to trust God, but you got to move your feet. And the other thing is I never chased the money. I always chased the art. And that's what kept me grounded, because if it was only for the money, man, those slow years probably would have broke me. But I love the work. I'm going to draw anyway. I believe in what I was building before it looked like much to anybody else. before it looked stable, before it looked impressive, before it looked like something people understood. And when you really love this craft, it gives you something deeper to stand on. It just doesn't remove the pressure, but it gives you a reason to keep going through it. Looking back at those seasons, they taught me more than the busy ones. They taught me faith. They taught me discipline. They taught me to respect my time. And they taught me that my art has to come before the medium. They taught me to save when times are good, because when you live through some slow weeks and times are slow, you stop acting like the good weeks are guaranteed. You stop wasting a good season. You stop assuming that the phone is always going to ring. So when it is good, save. When people are booking, appreciate it. When the money is moving, don't act like that season owes you forever, because it doesn't owe you shit. And when things slow down, don't fold. Don't get careless. Don't let pressure make you desperate in a wrong way. You got to lock in, trust God, do your part. You got to keep building. Because at the end of the day, if you don't work, man, you don't eat.